Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Test Flight in the UH-1 Huey. And I'm getting started into the weapons employment phase. The last mission was dedicated to getting everything set up and getting a plan together and getting my checklist squared away and getting the startup done. So let me go ahead and get airborne and get heading into the target area and start having a look at all this neat stuff we have to play with. So let me go on to my radio and request hover check first of all. So Colkey infield 1-1, request hover, and I should get a response here, assuming everything is set up and configured correctly. Excellent. Okay, and let me just go ahead and put her into a quick cover, make sure everything is squared away. So, like I said during the prep for this, I'm at max gross weight on this aircraft with all the I mean, you can see like right there. I mean, I've got in my cargo compartment the ammunition for the guns. I've got the guns themselves. I've got the larger of the rocket pod options loaded. I've got a lot of weight on the aircraft, so we'll have to see how this handles. But I'll go ahead and disable my indicator at the top left and I'll keep all the rest at the right there until I figure out what I need and what I don't. But okay, pedals left, stick aft and left. Let me go ahead and gently, smoothly increase collective. I'm just going to focus on a point out in front of me, use that as a reference to keep myself in a hover. Okay, so yeah, it's a little bit different. I definitely did have to put in more collective this time. And yeah, the stick is, I think, maybe a little bit further back. No, actually the stick is further forward. I did not have to go as far back on the stick. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Okay, but while I'm at it, let me request taxi.
Request taxi to runway.
I'll bump up to a better hover altitude. I'll get up to about 5 feet or so. Okay, cleared to taxi to runway 9, and we take it out here to the right. I'll try to keep this at a reasonable speed. That's a little faster than I would want to taxi. So let me try to rein it in just a touch. That's much better. Okay. I'll just use the ground effect to my advantage here. Just kind of... yeah, just keep her going right down the taxiway. The one thing that you'll find if you're ever... like, if I was standing over there at the side of the taxiway right now, this thing was hover taxiing by, I would be getting pelted with little projectiles, little rocks, specks of sand, just these things just kick up a lot of stuff on a... I'm sure on a... like an unimproved airfield, or relatively unimproved airfield like what you would have typically in this region. There would be all kinds of stuff flying around right now. But luckily I'm on the delivering and not the receiving end, like normal for this. Okay, so tanking it out here, and what I found is that unless I land out here on the runway, I'm not actually going to be able to call for takeoff clearance. So what I'm going to take this to mean is that taxi clearance means takeoff clearance for my purposes. And not really, but, you know, for my purposes in the UH-1 at least, in the simulation world, since, like, if I try to... wait, I take that back. Okay, let me request takeoff. So yeah, I just learned something new. Okay, maybe I just wasn't in the right place when I was doing it before on the previous 2 missions. Okay, but in either case... now, navigation, let me bring my neighbor back up and, no, I guess I don't stand corrected. I can call for clearance, but I will not receive it because they already think I'm airborne. That's what it was. Okay. So let me bring the map back up. Okay, so here's the map that I'm going to be using for navigation this time. And it's just the default map. I didn't go back and save anything for this purpose. So steer point 2, I've got this set up over a bridge out there in the distance. I should be able to pick that up visually, and that's what I'm going to try to work on this time. So there's a bridge out there at steer point 2. It is to the southwest. So I just need to come over to the southwest, fly out there, visually acquire this bridge and that levee that the bridge is over. And then just visually navigate out to the target area. Okay, so go ahead and increase collective. Pitch down slightly. Let's go ahead and get her airborne, and or even more airborne, and get her into some good old forward flight. So there's 30 knots. Okay, transitioning. 40 knots, 50, 60. Okay, good. That was really not that different. I don't think roast weight makes that big of a difference, really, when it comes to the transition to forward flight. Okay, let me trim out for this 80 knots. Okay, yeah, perfect. That went a little too well, actually. Okay, so let's see here. Hitting 225, which is about what I want. And I'm looking for a bridge out here in the distance. I believe, yeah, that's it right there. Just come on over here and just go direct on this bridge, and then I'll take it a little bit further over to the south, because I do have and this is my standard on the range setup, so I do have some air threats out here in the distance. I might even be able to pick them up visually. But yeah, I set up an additional circle and a Zeus 23 launcher and a Zeus 23 AAA emplacement out there ahead, so I want to kind of be on the lookout for them and not get too far into that location. But for now, let me just go ahead and hand it over to the co-pilot and let the co-pilot take it out here while I get into the checklist and have a look at weapons employment. Okay, so cockpit procedures. Okay, employing the XM-158 or 159, and these are the rocket pods. Okay, select 2.75 on the armor control panel. And okay, I've got a little bit of time to do this. Okay, armor control panel, this one right here. So I've got selector switches for 762. Right now it's in that position, and that means that my guns are selected. Okay, I put it up to the 2.75 setting. That's going to mean that my rocket pods are selected. I also have a 40 setting. That'll be for a 40 mic grenade launcher of some type, which is not modeled. Boy, that would be kind of cool, but oh well, maybe later. It looks like I always have a rocket pair selector that'll control the amount of rockets that I fire with every release. And let me go ahead and take it back over from the co-pilot and bring it over to the new course of pretty much due southwest. 21. I'll just make it 210. I think that's what I had planned this for. Okay, hand it back over. I've got the level flight. Not autopilot, it's just handing it over to the co-pilot, but the co-pilot is just going to maintain level flight on this heading as I look out there. Yeah, that's the area that I have that air threat at right there, and then I've got the range itself right out there in the distance, just before you get to the coast. Okay, so this will be a good heading to take us into the target area at least. Okay, getting back to the armor control panel, or whatever they're actually called, armament panel, yeah, real names don't matter as long as you know what you're looking at. Okay, I have a rocket release button. Or not release, rocket reset button. And what I would imagine that would do is just like a momentarily off-on type deal on the voltage going down to the pods. And sometimes a quick reset is going to solve a lot of life's problems for you when it comes to avionics equipment. I think that's what that does. And then jettison. I think if I raise this guard and toggle the switch, I believe it would jettison the rocket pods. I'll test that out here at the very end of the mission. Okay, countermeasures. I'm not really going to worry about, but I will get these set up. So I'll go countermeasure, switch to arm. I've got a green light. Now, I think what happens is I just depress this button and I release a flare. Let me try that. Okay, depress F2. Yeah, it releases flare. Very cool. I need to map that somewhere that makes sense. Maybe, actually, the perfect place to map that to would be since I have the Warthog HOTAS, I'll map that to my landing gear warning silence button on the HOTAS. That's exactly the perfect thing to map for that. And let's see here, ripple fire. I think this is essentially just going to jettison the flare, ripple fire off everything. I have this switch, counter reset. Okay, so I think what happens here is I set this to the amount of flare that I have loaded. Okay, so I need to include that in my pre-mission setup, setting my counter for flare to whatever I happen to have loaded, which I have no idea I've been around and I've seen this type of dispenser, so it looks like, geez, I would have to go back and look. Maybe 32 by. I'm not really familiar with this type of dispenser. I know all the Air Force stuff, not the Army, but oh well. So set that to the amount of flare that you have, and it's going to count down every time you do a flare dispense. Very, very cool. Now, the other half of the armor panel, I have gun selector, left, right, and all. Okay, so that's only going to select the right gun. That's going to select both. That's going to select the left gun. Got it. Master arm. Okay, safe, arm, and off. Okay, so we'll just leave that in safe for now. Okay, so I think that essentially covers setup for weapons delivery. So if I wanted to dispense rockets, I had this switch set up for rocket delivery. I would just need to go master arm to arm, and I would be all set. If I wanted to go with guns, set this to 7.62, master arm to arm, and I'm all set. Okay, let me start with guns. I'll leave it in 7.62 for now. I am approaching the target area. Yeah, there's the good old range. I have some movers out there set up that I'm going to employ on first. Surely I have something moving out there. Okay, yeah, well, no, that's not it. Well, they'll pop up. It's the same truck. Unless I deleted it for some reason. I was tinkering with the mission. In either case, I got plenty of targets out there, but I kind of needed those to be able to let the AI do stuff. So if this doesn't work, I'll come back in a later video and do the AI, because for some reason, when I created the range, I made all these friendly targets. That's just the way that it imported, and the AI will not engage these. Well, that does put a damper on things. Okay, anyway, I will not be deterred. I will, let me see, let me have the co-pilot orbit here. So let me get rid of the kneeboard and orbit. Okay, lift alt A. Okay, I think for this to work, I need to give a bank angle. So let me try this. Let me take over real quick. Okay, my aircraft. Oh, no. Oh, I know what happened. Well, actually, no, I have no idea what happened. Okay, autopilot off. Orbit mode. Handing it back over to the co-pilot. And yeah, the co-pilot is just going to orbit right here as I continue to get myself situated. Okay, so I kind of scoped all that out on my own there. I didn't really read any of this. Let me get back in here and see if I missed anything. Okay, flight control. When the helicopter is loaded with standard combat load, the center of gravity shifts forward. This results in a greater amount of backstick pressure pull required during takeoff and hover. Similarly, balanced forward flight is established with approximately 1/3 to 1/4 less forward stick than usual. I know it felt different. I just couldn't figure out, oddly enough, I couldn't figure out if it was more aft or more forward. And apparently it's supposed to be more aft stick required to maintain a hover. Okay, got it. Employing the XM-157 or 159 weapons system rockets. Okay, desired station. Okay, I'm in, for now, the desired station. 2.75 selected. Set the desired number of rocket pairs fired. I only want to fire one at a time. I wonder if that's even possible, or if they're automatically come off as pairs. I'll leave it in 0, just to see what happens. If I set it to 1, what's going to happen, or what should happen, is one rocket will be fired from each launcher. I have Willy Pete on one, and I have HE on the other. What I wanted to do was be able to select. Come to think of it, I don't think you can independently select a launcher. I don't know if that's realistic or not. It probably is. I don't know. I have to research that. And I don't think it's possible in this simulation, however, to independently select and say that, for example, I want to only fire the Willy Pete out of the launcher on the left side, or I only want to fire a single HE rocket out of the right-hand pod. I don't know if that's possible or not. I'll I'll investigate. Okay, well, in either case, I'll leave that set to 0 just to see what happens. That might inhibit release, I don't know. Okay, establish coordinated flight by minimizing side slip and maximize its accuracy of fire. And set the aiming sight for the left pilot. For the right pilot's XM60 reflex sight. Okay, and essentially, yes, set the sight. If playing as the pilot, you may need to turn on the reticle lamp by pressing right control M. The aiming reticle will appear. If playing as the co-pilot on the left side, the flexible sight will move down and the sight reticle will appear. So let me do this one first. Okay, to get my sight down, I know that you come up here and you press that releases and it locks into place. Now to get the reticule, okay, this sight elevation, that's going to control the sight setting. Okay, right now it's set to 0 mils. So what else? I have this lever right here, which is station intensity. Do I not have an on-off switch for the reticle itself? Anywhere. Am I going to have to manually turn the reticle on? Apparently. Okay, no big deal. Let's see what the key binding was for it, and I will map that somewhere that makes sense on my HOTAS here eventually. Okay, so what was the key mapping for that? Right control M. Right control M, and I have a reticle. Awesome. Okay, there's going to be... Okay, I wonder if I get to it in this part of the manual. There is a significance to the size of the reticle. I think it's 50 mils with 5 mils. Yeah, I think the total reticle size is 50 mils. The center circle is 10 mils. The inner part of it is 5 mils. I think that's right. And what that does, and what that gives you the capability to do, is if you know the size of the target, you can determine your range by the number of mils or how much of the sight the target fills up. So you can use that as an estimation of range. I just have to figure out exactly how to do that, or what, what target size for a certain mil, how much of the reticle fills up, how that corresponds to the range. There's, yeah, I'll get to that. It's not really going to matter. That's probably not how I'm going to ever do it, but it is there as an option. Okay, then to depress the reticule, yeah, up and down. Okay, so it's a standard, 0 mils. I'll depress it to 40. Okay, then that's where this table comes into place. So, okay, sight settings, altitude in feet, range in meters. This is going to require a lot of math. Okay, range in meters. My brain is calibrated to feet. Sorry, I'm from the USA. That's just how my brain is calibrated, but I'll be able to convert this easily to feet. For example, 1,000 meters will be about 3,200 feet. Yeah, about 3,200 feet is 1,000 meters. And yeah, I can just go from there. Okay, so 1,000 meters. Okay, if I'm nap of the Earth, low altitude, 0 will be the sight setting. Now, I think this is for rockets. Don't quote me on that, but this almost has to be for rockets. That's the only thing that, to me, would make sense to have a sight setting up here for. Maybe it applies to both rockets and guns. Who knows? We'll find out. Okay, so if I'm at 1,500 feet, and this is probably a little bit more realistically where I'm going to be during this. 1,500 feet, 1,000 meter range, sight setting at positive 10, okay. So I would set it to right about there. Okay. Alright, that makes sense. I would have expected the dive angle to factor into this. Maybe, I don't know, I'm at such a low airspeed by default. Maybe the low airspeed that I just am inherently at takes dive angle out of the equation. It's nothing I do here is going to make this pinpoint accurate, so I'm not really that worried about it. Okay, so 1,500 meters, 1,500 feet. Okay, and then you see the pattern there. Okay, So as range increases, then you start going to lower and lower sight settings as the bullets drop or as the rockets, just due to gravity, drop. And is that... No, yeah, I do. There we go. There are my movers out there. Okay, I will be able to do everything on this mission. That is assuming I don't run out of fuel, that is. So, okay, so this sight makes a lot more sense. And this is more like your traditional aircraft sight. You know, like if you're in the standard Su-25A that just has the standard sight, or if you're doing like old school bombing in the A-10C, turn off the LASD and all the avionics and just go with the HARS or the standby reticle. This is my kind of flying right here. I'm going to enjoy this. I can already tell. And then the last thing to tinker with was brightness. I have this knob up here. Oh yeah, look at that. Okay, brightness knob up, down. Very cool. I'll leave that turned all the way up. Okay, let's see here. Let me come over to the co-pilot position and tinker with this side. So let me go to number 2. Now this one, okay, okay, station intensity again. This lamp switch back up off main. Okay, I'll figure out what that means here in a second. But let me see here. I would have expected a switch of some sort, or something that I would use to enable this. I mean, granted, what would happen here is if I was in the real thing, I think it's just kind of... There's like a little detent holding it in, so I would literally just reach up and grab the thing and pull it down. I don't think there's like a... I don't know if there's going to be a switch that I throw to get this thing down or not. I'll just go with the keyboard command for now. Okay, so it's right control... let's see here, right... Okay, maybe it's right control M for this as well. Apparently not. Let's see. Right shift M. Oh yeah, that's it. Maybe. Let me try that. Oh, just plain old M. Okay. Okay, I got that now. Right shift M toggles the... Yeah, that toggles the pilot side. Just M toggles the flexible side, the reflex side. Okay, got it. But folks, I believe, I could be much mistaken, but I think this is time for me to take a break. Again, I neglected to set my timer. So I will put a break in here at either case. I need to get up and walk around. This is exhausting work, going through manuals and stuff. So I hope you are still enjoying the series, and I will get to some employment here in just a second, using all this neat stuff that we have to play with. So thanks again for watching. I'll be right back.